It's no secret that I'm a big fan of Midway sports games. Some of the games that I've opened on this show have been NBA Jam, NBA Jam TE, NFL Blitz, NFL Blitz 2000, NFL Blitz 2002, I believe. I think I even did 2003. All of the NHL Hits games, I could go on and on. I loved Midway when they were around. I missed them terribly. It's really cool that there is a Midway documentary coming out called Insert Coin. I've talked about that in the past. And I finally have another Midway sports game to open up on the show. But a little bit of background first. Midway Sports have covered all the big ones: basketball, football, hockey. We've covered those, we've talked about those. But the other major sport that we haven't talked about is baseball. And yes, there is a series of Midway Sports games based on baseball. We're talking, of course, about the MLB Slugfest games. Now, I don't have Slugfest 2003. I don't have Slugfest 2004, and I don't have Loaded. So what I do have is I have a copy of MLB Slugfest 2006. And yes, this is from the year 2006, so this is 14 years old now. And what better time to open up a brand new baseball game than with the World Series going on right now between the Dodgers and the Rays, which is tied up at 1 as I record this video. So when we take a look at the Slugfest games, it's very much a baseball game. The pitcher-batter confrontation is at the center of it all. There is some fielding that goes on, and it's definitely over the top. There are on-fire pitches, and you can hit batters on purpose to cause fights, and there's all kinds of different stuff that goes on the base path. So it plays out interestingly. It certainly plays out like an arcade game, but the problem with baseball is that it just doesn't lend itself well to the arcade feel. The NHL, the NBA, and the NFL are always action-packed, and once you get rid of the time off between plays, things are always moving, always going. But when you're talking about baseball, there's a little bit of patience that goes on during the pitcher-batter confrontation. What kind of pitch is the pitcher going to throw? Is it going to be over the plate? Is the pitcher going to try and pick someone off at first? Is the batter going to swing? How many swings is the batter going to take? There are a whole bunch of different variables. Some people like it when baseball is a bit slower. Other people don't like the pause in the action. They like a quicker pace. And honestly, with baseball, it just doesn't lend itself to that. Now, for the record, I do think that Slugfest does a decent job of making baseball somewhat arcade style. It's not as arcade style and approachable as, say, RBI baseball or bad news baseball that I've talked about with the retro referee in the past. But nevertheless, I do think that Slugfest games do deserve at least a look from fans of the sport. And this game is no exception. This is the last of the series. So when we take a look at what it offers, there's new Create a Player here. For the first time ever in the Slugfest series, we can now create our very own batters and pitchers. It's on fire, so you can catch fire with Midway's classic Fast and Furious adrenaline-style gameplay and hit tape measure home runs, slide spikes in high, or toe the rubber and let loose some chin music. So again, just talking about the attitude feel of the sport and giving it this rougher edge. The one and only. So Slugfest is fully licensed over-the-top baseball, which means you get all of your favorite teams, players, and stadiums in the most raucous brand of baseball you've ever seen. If we're being completely honest, this is probably the tamest of the lot. This was 2006. The PlayStation 2 is already kind of over the hump, and this is really the last game that we would see for MLB before they would go exclusive third party with 2K Sports. So this was really the last of the Slugfest games that we would wind up getting to play. You can see up there is a CompUSA sticker. So this is originally from CompUSA for $20. It got marked down to $10. I think I got this for like $8. It's all the way up to $30 now on eBay, so that's pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what is on the inside. I got my trusty scissors here, and I'll kind of keep the game faced out like that so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. There we go. So we'll just kind of open that up. Thank you, Mr. Scissors. And when we open this up, looks like the case has seen better days. I'm a little concerned because there's some cracking, but that's okay. Have to look there. There we go. I know this is the second straight baseball episode, but I've been meaning to get this open. There we go. So the case is a little cracked, but that's okay. When we take a look at the inside, not really going to be creative by the time we're in 2006, as you can see. And I'll try and move this over. Here we go. So we have the manual here. We have the disc here. We'll take a look at the instruction manual because that's really what we do on this show. And I'll put the game right back there. There we go. You stay right there. So there's the manual, MLB Slugfest 2006. We have an ad for Rampage Total Destruction on the back. It is in black and white. It's not in color, so you can kind of see right there, and I have to kind of peek over the top. Let's see what we have here for modes, if any. There's certainly a walkthrough for the controller layouts and what all the buttons and directional controls do. There's quick play, home run derby. You can create a team, which is certainly a big deal. Season mode is here. Create a player is here. Challenge mode is here, where you can beat all 30 of the game's MLB teams. So that's very much like an arcade mode where you had to play everyone one at a time until you get to the top of the chain. There's also playoff mode where you can set best of 3, 5, or 7. So that's pretty interesting too. There are trick pitches here. I don't know if it talks about all of those. Special pitch meter. After a pitcher throws 5 strikes, the special pitch meter will fill with 5 ball images. The L1 button and the name of the special pitch will appear at the bottom of the pitch selection. So basically, those are almost impossible to hit, and that's just kind of the way that works. It uses the same general basic concepts as NBA Jam. You have turbo. You can only use it so much before you run out and you have to replenish it. There is on fire. I believe if you get so many base hits in a row, I think that's when on fire activates. And it definitely prioritizes more offense than defense, as you see in a lot of the other games that are similar to this. My only big complaint about the Slugfest games is just the pace is so slow. Playing a 9-inning game is excruciating, at least in my opinion. If you don't keep it to 5 innings or less, it tends to lose its punch really quickly. You'll have to forgive the pun because, of course, you can charge the mound and get in trouble in this game. It is over the top. It has that attitude that all of the Midway sports games have, and I think that that's pretty gosh darn cool, at least if you ask me. So these games are available. They aren't really that expensive to get. Do I recommend this one? Kind of. By the time this came out, the series was already, like I said, over the hump, and they really weren't doing anything that was all that new. One game that I do recommend kind of keeping an eye open for is MLB Slugfest Loaded, which actually has more simulation aspects to it, where it does a nice job with statistical simulations if you're into that kind of thing. Also, the earlier games, MLB Slugfest 2003 and 04, are certainly worth looking at and aren't very expensive in terms of just seeing how the game got its start in some of the early improvements. This game really is more a reskin than anything else. As I said, by now, with the PlayStation 2 on its way out, with the Xbox 360 on its way in, you really weren't seeing a lot of advancements or improvements. This was just kind of going through the motions. And again, with this being the last of the MLB games for Midway before the license went to 2K Games / Take-Two, we were lucky to get this pretty much at all. At that point, we were looking at MLB 2K and then MLB The Show, and that was pretty much it. Nintendo wasn't even making baseball games at that point, and Microsoft had pretty much backed out of baseball games after, I believe it was MLB Inside Pitch, but I might be mistaken on that one. So you can certainly keep your eye open for MLB Slugfest. I don't think it's among the best of the PlayStation 2 baseball games. If you're looking for those, of course, you're certainly thinking of MVP Baseball as well as MLB The Show. And for a future episode, we will be taking a look at High Heat Baseball 2004, much like we took a look at High Heat in the most recent episode for the original PlayStation. It really came into its own on the PlayStation 2, and we'll be going over this at some point in the not-too-distant future. Until that time comes, my friends, please take care of yourselves and each other. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll do it again real soon. Take care.